guys, welcome back to the Film Grinders podcast. I'm your host, Nicholas Hauka, here with depressed Patriots fan, David Hollinshead. Dave, wellness check. How are we doing?
No, you know what? I'm going to be positive this episode. I'm going to try to not be as depressed as everyone thinks I'm going to be. I'm going to be chipper but critical, if that makes sense. I think this is going to be a very me-dominated episode. I'm sorry, Nick. Take a back seat, as I'm sure the Jaguars will one day have their light in the sun and we'll let you go. But this is going to be my time to go through some therapy, and you are going to play Freud sitting over there taking notes. As a Patriots fan, it's so tough to, and I know a lot of people are, and it's a very loud minority, but I feel like my relationship with my mother is that as a Patriots fan, and I'm going to say this to all the Patriots fans out there, don't be that disappointed. Don't be that upset that the fact we lost the Super Bowl. You can be, and go through a little grieving process. But the fact we were there at all, you have to be happy with how this season went, right? 6 wins over the past 2 seasons, 3-3, and then you come back and you have just as many losses as you did wins last year. Make it to the Super Bowl. The future looks bright. We wanted Mike Vrabel when he came in. He said he wanted to build a foundation. Well, we have a floor, we have 4 walls, and we have a ceiling, and now we just have to furnish the home itself. So you can't be too depressed. Be excited moving forward, you know?
Yeah, I think a lot of NFL fans that are not Patriots fans don't feel a lot of sympathy for you, including myself. I think you guys have not waited long enough to be relevant again. So I don't really feel bad, to be honest with you. I would have been kind of upset if you guys won. But in all seriousness, yeah, I agree with that. I think this is a pretty quick turnaround from usually when dynasties die. It takes probably 5 to 10 years for you to kind of get back, and you guys are definitely on the lesser half of that building block up. A lot of talk, Dave, a lot of speculation. Is this the worst team to make the Super Bowl in a long time, this Patriots team? Obviously, getting lucky a little bit with the schedule, but again, you can only play the games that you're scheduled to play. They don't control that, right? So, do you think this is the worst team to ever make the Super Bowl? And then on top of that, what do the Patriots need now to kind of start to build forward and with roster construction, etc., to become better? Because there were some glaring issues in that game.
As for the worst team to ever make the Super Bowl, I think that's insanely unfair. And I think that's just very much recency bias and bias towards the Patriots as a whole. I mean, we've seen in the past, 15 some odd years, you look at the Seattle-Denver Super Bowl. That was just not a game from jump. You look at the, speaking of Denver, the Carolina-Denver game. That was a little bit better, but that wasn't a great game either. And if you look further into the 80s-ish, a lot of Super Bowls were blowouts. And it was kind of a running meme back. I don't remember if it was exactly the 80s, but I'd have to pull up the actual years. But it was a meme for a little while during that span. Obviously, I wasn't alive, but, I listened to guys who were old enough to be my grandpappy, that it was a meme back in the day that Super Bowls were just blowouts and kind of irrelevant games. So I think that's just offensive. The Patriots did put up some sort of fight despite their weaknesses and the pain that they saw. And as for what do they need, well, I think we'll get into that as we go. I think when we break it down more specifically, I can kind of say what we need. But, you brought up earlier, I think they do need a separator. I think they need to figure out some pass protection woes. I think they need to maybe add 1 or 2 more pieces on defense. But I think it's a pretty good foundational team. You just need to furnish the house, like I said.
Yeah, that's fair. And as far as worst teams go, Dave, I don't think we can consider that Denver Broncos team one of the worst teams ever. They had a historical offense, and a historical quarterback at the helm. If we're talking about Denver, Carolina, there's a historical defense on the Denver side of the ball and a certain MVP quarterback that I know is getting a lot of flack, but he was very good that year. He was unbelievable.
I meant Carolina was the bad team,
So,
for the record.
well, you said Seahawks Broncos Super Bowl. That was a blowout, but Denver wasn't a bad team. Seattle was just really good.
Seattle's really good now. Patriots aren't a bad team.
I think it was more about the lead up rather than the game, but I get what you're saying. And any quarterback that takes a receiving core of Jericho Cotchery, Ted Ginn, and Kelvin Benjamin with Greg Olsen at tight end to the Super Bowl is all right in my book.
Seahawks beat the Broncos 43-8.
Yes. It was close at halftime, and then Percy Harvin went yard to start the half.
Your favorite person it wasn't close at halftime, it was 22-0.
Yeah, but Denver, I mean, that's one stop away from being a 3-score game. That's an explosive Denver offense with Peyton Manning. They were unstoppable all year.
What are we doing here? That's a blowout for an entire game.
It's a 3-score game.
Half. You kidding me? It's more than 3 scores.
But you have Peyton Manning at quarterback.
Yeah,
like to
me, arm.
It's a 3-score game. What about that AFC Championship when the Colts finally overcame the Patriots when they were down 3 or 4 scores?
Okay, this isn't a referendum on Peyton Manning's whole career. It's a referendum on Super Bowl fucking whatever. When they lost 43-8, and you have the audacity to say the Patriots were the worst team in the Super Bowl ever. Fuck out of here.
I would take that Denver team over your Patriots team any day. They had a good defense. Dude, they played one of the best defenses ever. What do you mean? What are you talking about? Sorry, prime Peyton Manning or Drake May at this point of his career? I'm taking Peyton Manning. Who was I think no Sean. Come on,
noodle arm Peyton Manning.
No, Peyton Manning was unbelievable that year. No. We're not talking about the Carolina Panthers Broncos game where Peyton Manning was probably the worst quarterback in the league that year. We're talking about Peyton Manning that ripped up records that year. That offense was unbelievable. Go look at the stats. It was crazy how good they were. And that's why it was so unbelievable that the Seahawks defense did that to them.
I don't want to make Jake do a lot of fucking editing, but you go to a Super Bowl and you lose 43-8. You're not prepared. You didn't play well. I don't give a toot who your receivers are. You lost 43-8.
We will agree to disagree. My thoughts on the Super Bowl that just happened will stay more relevant here. I thought that everything looked really hard for New England on offense. I thought they were too conservative at times, and I know your left tackle and your left guard are struggling and everything like that, but I think the classic run, pass on third down, run on first down, run on second down, pass on third down. I think that happened way too often. I think they ran the ball out of heavy personnel sets on first down far too often. It was very predictable. Again, you're going against a good unit, but I would have liked to see some more creativity from Josh McDaniels. He's a guy that's known for very innovative screen game with lots of motion. And I just didn't see a lot of that. There's nothing wrong with it per se. It was sound, but it wasn't creative. I think he should have done a lot more. It just seemed ultra conservative. And honestly, on both sides for that matter, in the first half, I thought the Seahawks were kind of the same way. They kind of had their way on the first drive. And then they were pounding the ball with Kenneth Walker pretty good. But both teams struggled to throw the ball for pretty much the majority of that game. Obviously the Seahawks come up on top, but I didn't really think Darnold played that well. I thought he was fine. He wasn't bad, but he was definitely not uh, showing that he's an elite player in that game at all. He did what he needed to do, and they won the game, and that's what he's paid to do. But I didn't think he played outstanding. I thought kind of everything for them looked really challenging too, until probably the second half when they started to break through. But it's still, he didn't make any wow throws to me. Um, thought offense was a struggle for both teams. Thought defensively both teams played awesome. Um, I thought the Patriots actually played quite well. And the Seahawks, I think, had historic offense with a historic scheme this time rather than just having Hall of Fame players. Good match and very difficult for New England to move the ball. What did you think of the flow of the game, Dave?
I mean, I think that the first quarter, if not half, was painful to watch. Honestly, just a fucking drag. And then as the game slowly kept slipping out of New England's fingertips, like as a Seattle fan, I think it's tough for you to even get on your feet and start cheering too, because you're like, okay, this game is just slowly drifting into win territory. You'll smile and you'll enjoy it, but like to like stand up and roar, it's like, okay, like not really that type of game, right? If I'm making my point clear. Flow of the game was boring, honestly. I agree with you about the defenses and Sam Darnold. I think the Patriots did a great job on defense in totality of it all. Like schematically, I thought they did a lot of great things. They also had a high pressure rate on Sam Darnold, and when he kind of showed last year's playoffs, when he gets that kind of pressure, his throws can be a little off. And we saw it when he was just trying to hit like Cooper Kupp on the sideline for like a 5-yard out for a first down. Throw was behind him. It was late, and Kupp had to make a pretty athletic catch there. But the issue was for the Patriots defense. I agree with you that I thought they played, well enough despite not being able to defend the run at all. There was a lot of plays missed. I think there was probably 6 or 7 plays where it could have been a sack, it could have been a tackle for a loss, or could have been a pick even, and they just kind of let those plays go. In a Super Bowl, especially when the plays out like that, you gotta make those plays if you expect to come out on top and swing the momentum.
Yeah, Milton Williams had one of those in the game who, by the way, had a great game. Don't want to take anything away from him, but he had Darnold dead to rights and just missed. Kind of tried to arm tackle him, and I know that's maybe a predecessor of how roughing the passer has been called the last couple of years. So, but yeah, there were too many plays that got away from them ultimately, and that kind of changed the outcome of the game for sure. To think, as we thought kind of coming into this game, Dave, Seattle was the better roster. We thought they would win, and I think the game played out how we thought it would. One thing, because we're going to go to breaking the narrative right now. We're going to skip weekly headlines for now. Breaking the narrative. One thing that I think people maybe did not expect is how bad Will Campbell has been since coming back from injury. So we'll go to you first here, Dave. Again, a knee injury, coming back from that as a tackle who has to anchor and who isn't the biggest tackle in the world to begin with. How much do you think that's affected his play down the stretch? And everyone kind of blowing up, talking about him in a very poor way, saying that he should work at Amazon, which I think is insane. I don't know how that contraction, but how worried are you about the rookie left tackle?
I'm trying to look at it from the most pragmatic view I can. You're right. When he did come back from his knee injury, he hadn't looked the same. And through pretty much pre that injury, he looked fine. Did he look like a 4th overall pick, dominant left tackle, Joe Thomas type? No. But did he look like a serviceable tackle that you kind of put him there? You'll have some growing pains and you can forget about it. And hopefully in 4 years or when you're ready to re-sign him, he's great. Yes. So I'm not quite there yet to the point where I'm like, okay, let's move him. This is a bust. Go work at Amazon. I think it's just, we don't know how bad the injury was. I'm hearing a lot of different rumblings on the Twitter sphere and whatever. So we don't know. So I can't really say anything about that. But what I can say is that pre-injury, he looked fine. Growing pains. He looked like a rookie left tackle. Let's give him the time. but in the biggest stage in football, he was borderline uncompetitive, and that was just tough to watch. And I know he's a very passionate human being, and he was very emotional in his press conference yesterday, Monday. So I hope he can bounce back for his sake. He's a good kid.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with you. I listened to a couple of pretty interesting points from well-respected members of the media. Andrew Whitworth, former All-Pro tackle, um, very very good player. Hall of Famer, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, coming up,
Maybe.
maybe. Yeah, like I think he's almost worthy of that. Probably worthy of that. Really smart guy on his podcast. I know on the panel he doesn't get to talk that much, but on his podcast he says some interesting things. And he said, uh, Will Campbell should go and watch Toronto Armstead play. Another tackle who didn't have the longest arms in the world, wasn't the biggest in the world, but he played more aggressive in nature. And what he was saying is Campbell kind of gets back in his set quite a bit, and he's not the aggressor. He kind of catches a lot. And Whitworth was saying he actually plays a lot like I used to play. Whitworth is quite a bit bigger, so he was saying he should go watch Teron Armstead. He should use more jump sets and be more aggressive in his pass pro, and he think that will surface him going forward. But he wasn't worried at all. He said as long as he makes those necessary adjustments and plays to what Campbell's frame should be, not what other tackles who are bigger than him are, he thinks he'll be completely fine. Another point I listened to from Daniel Jeremiah, obviously the biggest draft guy in the NFL, well respected analyst. He said that at worst case, if this doesn't work for him, he's just going to be like a Joe Tooney who moves inside, is an all pro, and if he needs to, can swing outside to tackle. But like, there's nothing to worry about him being a good player. I think it's just whether will it be a tackle or will it be a guard, which was kind of what we talked about going into the draft. That was the book on him. So again, from an outside perspective, I don't think I would be worried as a Patriots fan. I think worst case scenario, this guy's a great guard for you. So I wouldn't be worried.
Yeah, and there's the whole fourth overall pick of it all. Like, you just spent the fourth overall pick on a left guard, but can we give him longer than a year, 75% of a year to like put it all together? Like, imagine if you gave up on Drake May after his rookie season because it was rough. Like, let's let him grow up. Let's let him develop. Doug Marrone is a very good coach and kind of help put this O-line back together from what it's been the past couple of years. Let's just give it, be paid. I know we're back in the Super Bowl and we're all excited and emotional, but let's give it proper time to rebuild and develop.
RELAX. Relax. Let's give it 3 to 4 years. Now, I know some people are saying like, well, Armand Membu was unbelievable for the Jets this year. And who's the other tackle taken just after him by the Saints? I can't remember. He was also very good this year, graded out very high. I don't know why I can't remember his name. He was one of my favorite players in the draft. But naturally, there you go. That's what happens when you're on an irrelevant Saints team. I can't remember.
Yeah. What do you mean? The Saints had such a great year.
He was like 9th overall, 10. Calvin Banks. Don't know how I forgot him. He was excellent this year, so I understand why fans might be a little upset about maybe they took the wrong player. But again, yeah, Jacob's going to have to make a couple of cuts there. 19 minutes. But yeah, like, look, let's give him some time. You never know. As we just saw with Sam Darnold, it takes time for players to develop. They can look absolutely useless, and then a couple years later win you a Super Bowl or be good enough to win a Super Bowl. So, but Dave, we'll move on to what's wrong with right now. The offense, it wasn't just Will Campbell who was struggling for this Patriots offense. What was wrong with them in this game? And honestly, probably this playoff run. They weren't very good.
No, not at all. And we went from the second highest scoring offense to, which was like at 28 and a half-ish points, right? To averaging 16-ish points in the playoffs, which is a huge drop-off and very disappointing for us to be watching. Very disappointing for Josh McDaniels and Vrabel, I'm sure. So I'm going to start with the Drake May of it all because I feel like that'll get me through quicker, and then I'll move on to the schematics, Josh McDaniels of it all. So Drake May, obviously, as well as Will Campbell, we talked about him, had a shoulder injury. Again, there's very differing reports of how badly this injury was and when it happened, and et cetera, et cetera. But it's notable. It's noteworthy. An injury to your throwing shoulder. There was rumors flying around that he had to get like shot up with substances that we don't ethically like to talk about to get through the game, but it's noteworthy. There's a couple things about Drake, fundamentally wise, that I think he still needs to improve on. I think throughout the entire season, he kind of did this, but through when playing bad teams, you can get away with it more. Is he does not he throws late. He consistently does throw late. We kind of talked about this in a lot of our what's wrong with segments for their offenses. Your footwork's the timeline. When you hit the top of your drop on the third step, fifth step, whatever the play call is, you want to get that ball out is right then and there and be able to throw right then and there, unless you're going through your progressions. Whereas with May, even if he's throwing what I would call his rhythm route, which is the top of the drop throw, he doesn't land on his back foot and then drive the ball forward. He likes to do a little hitch. He likes to double check that guy is open. He's not quite as decisive. He plays a little indecisive. I don't want to say scared. I don't think that's the right word, but a little uncertain, which is fair to say because you're playing in a very complex offense. Josh McDaniels, notable or notorious for that. And your second offensive coordinator in the NFL in totality. And I know that in North Carolina, he's also had I think it was 4 offensive coordinators now for him in the past 4 years, which is a tough way to live. So I understand why he's playing a little conservative, but you add that on top of you're not being able to throw the ball with the same zip that you usually do with that injured shoulder. And I think maybe you noticed this too. His balls just didn't look like they had the zip, the velocity on it like they normally did, and resulting them in ending up even later and later. And when you add on top of that the Patriots don't really have an elite separator that can make up for that, for all of that, then it just makes your life even harder. And it's tough to do that as well when your offensive line is allowing so much pressure, which then I'll get to the Josh McDaniels of it all, but let's have you respond to my Drake May critique first.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's interesting you bring up that point about him hesitating at the top of his drop because there's actually a mic'd up clip that went somewhat viral about Julian Love talking about exactly that, the safety on the Seahawks. He was saying the second May hits his back foot, and it's funny because he's like, typical young quarterback. He checks before he throws the ball, right? So, again, if a safety who's been in the league for a while is saying that's typical rookie quarterback, or not rookie, but young quarterback, that's something that's very fixable. So, nothing to be worried about, but again, something that needs to be fixed, obviously. Yeah, and the zip on the ball, I definitely noticed that as well. So I think a culmination of things, hard to be successful. And I really agree with the receiver thing. Whenever I'd watch a Patriots game this year and I'd see the core, I would go, how are they doing that well on offense right now? And nothing against Stephon Diggs. He's still solid and he's a good route runner and chain mover, but he's not explosive like he used to be anymore. He's getting old. That's natural. It is what it is. And I look at that whole core and I don't see anyone that stretches the field. I'm not really worried about Kayshon Boutte vertically. He's fine. He's not a bad player, but he doesn't scare me. Your tight end room doesn't scare me. There's no one that can just get lots of separation, so May's having to kind of be perfect, but I don't think he's at that point of his career yet where he can do that. He's still quite young. So yeah, it makes sense to me what you're saying. Let's move on to the schematic side. What do you think McDaniels needs to do better?
So I have this beautiful red book from the cult that I belong to called Adapt or Die. And Josh McDaniels did not do that. I'm a huge fan of Josh McDaniels. I feel like I've made that very clear both personally to you over our 40-year friendship and on this podcast. But I will also be very critical of him when he doesn't do the things that I expect him to do. Right? So far up to the season, he's been very good at adjusting, and I think I've said this to you multiple times off the air, that the Patriots are really a second half team. The first half will look like absolute dog shit. They'll score like maybe 3 points, and then they'll come out in the second half. I keep saying act. I'm still an actor. Coming out in the second half, and then they'll randomly put up 30. Right? So that's great adjustment by Josh. He did not have a great game, and I think it really comes down to two things for me. And I mean, we can talk about the entire coaching of it all, and I think there's a lot of clock mismanagement, score mismanagement, etc. But this podcast could be 3 hours long if I really wanted to air out all my grievances about this shit. It comes down to two things. One is I think that they played exactly into what Seattle wants to do. I think that they played a lot of 11 personnel, 3 receivers going vertical, not great protection, and Seattle was just able to send their blitzes from Devin. They weren't a huge blitzing team, like throughout, but when they did blitz throughout the season, and especially on Sunday, very effective. So you're sending Devin Witherspoon off of the edge, you're sending him in the B gap or whatever safe DB you want, and you're able to cover these 3 receivers going deep because you have the talent for it, and the Patriots don't. You're just playing right into a great scheme, great players, into a great defense's plan. So I didn't like that at all. Secondly, and this is the R4 of it all, there was no answers in the offense, which I find very upsetting. So when a team is blitzing you like the way Seattle blitzed New England, there's a couple ways you can solve it. One way you can do it is just you bring in more blockers. You just go max protect, 7-man, and either you can pick up everybody, and Drake May can just either make plays with his legs or find guys downfield. And there were plays to be made downfield. Like watching the film, looking at the coach's cam, there were guys downfield open, but with the pressure of it all and the no protection, you can't live that way. The other way to deal with this kind of pressure is to have answers built into the plan. This is the way that I would do it as an offensive coordinator. I don't like bringing in like 7-man protection, 8-man protection. So I feel like just throwing bodies at it doesn't help because it just limits your options downfield. The answer that I like is that you have a built-in hot route, what I would call a rush route into the play. So whether that be just like a running back who's splitting out, Josh McDaniels is very well known for his option routes with his receivers. You think back to the Houston game, they sent a blitz. It looked like Pop Douglas changed his route to a slant for where the blitzing linebacker was. Bloop. Touchdown. And it was a beautiful work of art. He didn't do that this time. It was just 7-man protection, 3-man going deep downfield, no options, answers built into it, and Drake had a really tough time with that. He eventually got into it near the end of the third, fourth quarter-ish, and we saw a couple Ramondre catches out of the backfield that went for first downs. Obviously, the touchdown as well. I just think that he adapted and started doing that way too late.
Yeah, you don't, especially against those max pressure looks that the Seahawks were bringing on third down and longs. You don't want vertical routes against those. You want quick hitting routes. The whole basis of that pressure is the ball needs to be out like that, right? So if you're running vertical routes, you're playing right into the hand of the call. So not good and kind of uncharacteristic of McDaniels because he knows better than that. Very odd. The other thing, like, I wanted to see more gimmies on first and second down. Like, there were way too many third and longs, and against that defense in general, you're not going to be successful. I don't care what offense you are. Like, you're just not going to be successful against those guys. You have 4 dudes on that defensive line who could just get after it. You don't even have to blitz most of the time against good O lines too, right? Like, they have some dogs there. And then you bring in the schematic genius of Mike McDonald into it with those full up pressure looks at the right times. Yeah, like you're gonna have a bad time. So, and they did. So I would have liked to see some more innovation on first and second down too, rather than just heavy personnel. We're gonna run inside zone or we're gonna run power. Like I wanted to see more, and I didn't see it, which is weird for McDaniels because I don't think I've ever really felt that way about him, to be honest. So interesting.
Yeah, I thought they actually got away from the running game too quickly. I mean, yeah, for the first half, they were only picking up 3 yards a carry. But damn, you against that defense, that's fine. It's at least forward progression. And then when they got away from that, they just went to straight drop back passing, which is again playing into what Mike McDonald wants. He's just going to blitz the hell out of you, and then you lose the play action of it all, which is another way to kind of get rid of that pass rush or help deal with that pass rush with play action. But if they just know that, like you kind of said, run pass or run pass, they know what your drop back game is going to be. It's very easy to defend.
Yeah. The other thing is, I think there was not enough of Travion Henderson.
Never enough of Travion
in that
Henderson.
game. You want the home run hitter against that defense, right? Like 2 to 3 yards of carry doesn't really do shit for you. Like, so Ramondre Stevenson, who has a role, right? Like, he should have had probably half the snaps he did, but he still should be on the field sometimes. Like, you need to put Henderson in. He is a guy that can turn a 3-yard carry into a 15-yard carry, and that's what you need to move the ball against a defense like that. So I didn't particularly like that. I know he's not fully trusted yet, et cetera, but I think that would have been the game to give him more carries.
Yep, agreed.
Any other closing statements before we get to what we're going to be doing in the offseason here, Dave?
I think just Patriots fans, relax. We look at the jump we made. We have the offseason. Let's trust in Vrabel. He's already brought us this far. I'm excited that the fact that the staff is probably all returning, if we're being honest. And if we can just get I don't even know. We're going into the offseason I don't know what we need, which is actually very exciting. I know we need a lot of things and holes to fill in some upgrades, but I'm not there's no glaring holes that I'm fuck, we need a quarterback. We have the quarterback. We have the head coach. We will always be competitive as long as we have those two things. We'll be fine. Be excited moving forward.
Yep, and we'll get in to stuff like that in the off season. Both of these teams with very, very bright futures, pretty young cores, lots of cap space for both teams too, surprisingly. I think the Seahawks have 70 million in cap after winning the Super Bowl. Fairly unheard of. So will be interesting to see moves that are made. I know the Seahawks have a lot of decisions to make with Rashid Shaheed, Josh Jobe. I believe Tariq Woolen is also a free agent. So lots of decisions to make for them, but cap space to make them. So that is good. Patriots are in kind of the same boat, I believe. And yeah, so off season for them will be interesting. Off season for us, we are going to be doing some draft evaluations. I have started with my top 10 edge players. I will try to have that ready for you guys by, I want to say, last couple weeks of February. So we'll do a podcast episode like we did on our old channel last year with our top edge rankings, corner rankings, safeties. If we get to that on the defensive side, I will be doing that. Well, Dave will be doing offensive positions, quarterback, running back, receiver, the good old stuff. Potentially writing articles with that as well. We will see if we have time for that. We will definitely be doing podcast episodes with them for sure, though. We'll also be going over free agency day 1, 2, 3, winners, losers, like we did last year. And then everyone's favorite, we will be doing mock drafts eventually. We will try to get, honestly, I need to get a little more versed in guys outside the top 15, 20, because when we did mock drafts last year, we actually ended up putting a lot of guys outside of those top 30 picks into those first rounds, and a couple of them actually happened. So, not to the right team, but they did happen. So we will try to become more versed in that. So we're not just giving you guys BS. This is what everyone else is doing. Like, we will try to actually have our own opinions on it. So that'll be coming to you guys soon. Just wanted to say thank you for tuning in this season every week, starting in like week 6 or 7, which we started in roughly. And we will be here during the off season. We'll try to do once a week again, just depending on how the flow of things go. Thank you for tuning in, guys, and we will see you guys soon. What a year! Who would have thought Patriots Seahawks? Not I. That's
I
for sure.
Did.
But no, you didn't. But you were going to be happy with seven wins.
True.
But we will try to have some more wins for you guys in the off season here with some good episodes. Thank you for tuning in to the Film Grinders podcast. I'm Nicholas Hauka for David Hollinshead. We'll see you guys next time, and thank you again.